it was really important for this Red Wings team to start the season off really strong, because you have like Ottawa, Tampa Bay, Florida, all coming off the rough starts right now. You have now an opportunity to get ahead of those teams that could potentially heat up in the middle of the season. Welcome to the Checking From Behind podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm your host, Zach, as always, joined by my co-host, Preston. We have an action-packed episode from teams that got off to really good starts to teams that absolutely fucking suck. Also known as the San Jose Sharks, we'll get to in a second. They have lost 17 straight games going back to last regular season. Poverty franchise, and I'm a Sabres fan. I covered the right Sabres for the Hockey Writers, whatever. Fucking cry me a river. Anyways, let's hop right into the news that we have for the last couple of days, including some Brad Marchand stuff. The Panthers, first off, the Panthers played the Sabres on Saturday it was, and this was funny. Brad Marchand ended up actually getting into it with Dahlin. Dahlin cross-checked. I would call it like it should have been called a penalty.
It should have been a penalty. Yeah, it was
should've.
completely away from the play, and literally right on the numbers, textbook cross-check, and like Brad Marchand had a right to be angry.
Mm-hmm. And we saw, I guess you said that Marchand ended up tripping his leg out, whatever, and tripping Dahlin after Dahlin.
Yeah, so they skated away, like Dahlin at the puck, and he shot it, and Marchand was like kind of jawing at him, and Dahlin, I think, went in to hit him again, and he kind of fell, Marchand kind of tripped him, and then Dahlin fell, and then Marchand started punching him, and he just covered his head, and then somehow the helmet ended up off of him. I don't know how that in that pile Marchand ended up with Dahlin's helmet, but he did. Took it to the penalty box, and Dahlin had to get a new helmet. How
was that not a 10-minute game misconduct?
I don't know.
Doing all that. That's ridiculous.
He should have got kicked out of the game for that.
He didn't
even get suspended or anything. But if that is not like unsportsmanlike conduct, literally, what is that? What does even that mean then?
He ended up getting fined the maximum CBA of $5,000 for that, which when that happened, everybody fucking knew that he was going to get fined.
Yeah, I mean, it was expected. I mean, like I said, it was nothing to like suspend him over. It was funny.
No, it was fucking.
But like, come on, refs, what are we doing? Like, that is a 10-minute misconduct.
But I will say though that in the moment that made me piss off because you're gonna do that to my fucking captain. Fuck you.
Bro. I mean, Dahlin was laughing at him. It was like, what?
They got a power play goal out of it too, and they beat them. So
yeah, shut out.
Shut out Alex Lyon. Shut out the Lion.
They might not have their two best players.
They might also not have Evan Rodriguez right now, I believe, too.
Well, he played that game. I think he got hurt in that game.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a crazy sequence. Good to see Brad Marchand still got that rat in him. And then also, speaking of Brad Marchand, yesterday, October 21st, he made his much anticipated return to Boston for the first time on another team. I think the Boston Bruins did a really good job with a good tribute video, really respectful. Of course, he got a standing ovation. I wouldn't expect anything less. They weren't going to boo him. I don't think he ever wanted to leave Boston. It was just the way it was.
Brad Marchand should still be a fucking Boston Bruin right now. That not only did, obviously, we all knew that he was going to cry. He cried, right? It was emotional.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a franchise legend.
Dude, I would – listen, okay? I shed a tear or two. Watching that and watching his reaction, it's just like, dude, like he played for Boston for 13, 14, 15 years, whatever it fucking was. And
played won a Stanley Cup. I've played in 3 Stanley Cup finals. Crazy. His number will be in the rafters in Boston when he's retired. I truly believe that.
It will be next to Patrice Bergeron's.
It'll be Chara, Bergeron, and then Marchand.
Yep. So, I mean, the Panthers did win 4-3, though. Did you see that fourth goal that the Boston Bruins allowed?
No, I did not.
So the Panthers player shot it. I believe it was Swayman in that, but the Bruins goaltender, Swayman, he ended up saving it. It hit off a Boston Bruins player next to the crease, up in the air, mind you. It hit off like somebody's stick or somebody's ass, whatever it was, and it found the back of the net and it went in like that. Should never, ever have been in goal. If the Boston Bruins player is not there, that's just a puck that goes into the corner. Game probably goes into overtime, but that was tough for Boston. But yeah, though, Brad Marchand made his return to Boston. And some more news. The San Jose Sharks head coach, Warofsky, he had some interesting comments to say earlier in the week. He said that he would sell one of his kids for a Sharks win, not a Stanley Cup, not a playoff berth, just a regular season win. He got major backlash on it, so he ended up formally apologizing for his comments that he made. When I heard the comments or saw an article on it, whatever, I was like, there's no fucking way he said that. He said that. That was a quote that he said, and that is a ridiculous quote to say. That's how desperate they are in San Jose right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I get what he was going for, right? You know, he really wants to win, you know. I don't think he would literally sell his kid for a win. That would be weird, to say the least.
Yeah.
But I think he just really wanted to get his point across that he really is passionate about, you know, winning and getting the Sharks turned around. It was one of those moments where it sounds good in your head and it's like, oh, they're gonna get it, like they're gonna understand my passion. Then you say it, and then everyone's kind of like, what did you say?
It's like,
and you were like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. We've all had moments like that in our life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not that extreme, but I think we'll just laugh and move on. We'll kind of forget about it.
We'll forget about it in a couple days. Yeah, like maybe you say like you'll sell one of your limbs for it, right? But your kids is crazy.
I don't know if I'd sell any of my limbs for one win.
No, I wouldn't. But like the point being though is like say that like, you know, over I get like heat of the moment. It's probably the first thing you're emotional.
Sell one of my children. Sorry, son, you gotta go. Why? It's like we gotta win tonight.
We have to win one game against the Chicago Blackhawks 2 nights. Oh man. All right. So we all know why everybody's here. The Detroit Red Wings, they were on a 5-game winning streak. Then our Buffalo Sabres killed that tonight 4-2.
They lost to Tyson Koshak.
If you guys don't know the meme, I would just go on X and
it literally popped up like 10 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah. Go check out Tyson Koshak. It's going all over social media.
Game was on TNT tonight. Shaq made an appearance, and I guess Tyson Koshak's got a new fan.
Absolutely hilarious, guys. So the Red Wings, they are now 5-2. They got off to a great start after they ended up embarrassingly losing to the Montreal Canadiens in their season opener 5-1. They go on a string of wins that I honestly find very impressive. You go out and you beat the Maple Leafs in back-to-back games, 6-3 and 3-2 respectively. You beat up the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champion in Florida Panthers 4-1. I get they're banged up, whatever. It doesn't matter. Still a very impressive win. You go out and you beat Tampa Bay in an absolute grudge match 2-1 in overtime. Dylan Larkin scoring that goal. We'll get to him in a second. And then beating the Edmonton Oilers 4-2 before losing to the Sabres 4-2. This stretch of games that the Red Wings are having is very impressive. And this is the Red Wings team that we expected last season, maybe even the year before, where they were looking to get over the hump, but they weren't quite being able to get over the playoff line. And I think a large part has to do that with goaltending and some other factors on this team as well.
Yeah, Detroit's an interesting team for me. Neither one of us were super high on them going into the season. They have had a good start to the season. I still have question marks about their long-term goaltending. I know John Gibson had a rough game one. Cam Talbot has really been the goalie they've been riding on that winning streak. He's got 3 of the wins. Gibson started the night for Detroit and ended up losing to Buffalo. I just don't know for the longevity of that tandem how much I really trust it.
I see where you're coming from there with Gibson being 32, and I believe Cam Talbot is around that as well. Yeah, he's 38 years old. So
you're going to have to split it. Like, it's not going to be a situation where like one guy's playing 50, 60 games. Like, it's probably going to be pretty even the whole season.
That is true. And if you're Yzerman, this is exactly what you want, right? You don't need that number one goaltender right away. You have Cam Talbot, who has a 1.78 goals against and a 932 save percentage, who has
keeping that up. I'm telling you that right now.
Okay, well, no, he's not keeping that up. But like, I mean, a 915 save percentage from the end of the season, that I think is a win for the Red Wings, especially if they do get into playoffs. And you brought in John Gibson to kind of take the 1A goaltender role and stuff. You know, I mean, you trade for him that's expected of him. And I mean, his last 2 games have been better than that 5 goals on 13 shots against or something like that against Montreal, which was a brutal debut for him, but he's bounced back, right? And when you have Costa, when you have Augustine coming up through the system, you can be okay relying on Gibson and Talbot giving you 1 to 2 seasons of just kind of bridge goaltending work before those guys are ready. And not only has Cam Talbot been good, Gibson has bounced back, but also you look at the team top to bottom as a whole, they're big guns. Like we always love to talk about Larkin, DeBrincat, Raymond, and Patrick Kane because
I
those are
love
the
their
core
first
guys.
line. Their first line is so good.
Yeah. And Dylan Larkin especially has 11 points. Well, this isn't updated now. I think he had a point tonight. I could be wrong. But 11 points in the first 6 games for him. The Brinkat is 6 in the first 6 games, etc. And you have 17 players as of right now with at least 1 point, which kind of shows volume and speaks volume about their depth. And I think everybody on this team is contributing, whether it's offensively, defensively, whether it's winning puck battles or being good on the breakout. It just seems like they're working as a unit and as a team. And another guy that has kind of been that guy is 7th round rookie Emmett Finney, who had another really good game in their loss against Buffalo today. And the pace that he's on right now, nobody saw this coming into the season. I mean, if he finishes with 50 points as a rookie on this Red Wings team, if he keeps up this pace, we might need to have a hard conversation about rookies going into the last stretch of games with the Calder Trophy. That's just me, though. But anyways, Preston, carry on.
Yeah, I will say the thing with like Tom McClellan is, I don't think he's a coach that I don't think he'll be the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he's kind of a good coach to get you started, right? Kind of jumpstart your team. He did that when he went into Edmonton, right? With young Connor McDavid. He got him into the playoffs. I think McDavid's second year, had a couple runs. Same thing in LA, kind of got that team to that next step of becoming a playoff contender. And now that's what he's here in Detroit to do, right? And right. I think Detroit can make that jump this year. And I think, Todd McClellan is a good guy for that.
And speaking of McClellan, I don't know if you saw the quote they said after their 5-1 loss to open up the season at all. Did you?
No.
So the quote goes like this after their 5-1 loss. I actually asked a couple, maybe 3 or 4 players, like, are we tired of this yet? And they were longtime Red Wings. They didn't come from other organizations. Just, when is enough to play sloppy like that. And he wasn't blaming those players. I wasn't saying, hey, it's your fault. But it has to have an impact on those guys. They've got to be sitting in there going, okay, enough already. But if those 4 start or 5 start and make a difference, the rest will follow. And I'm hoping that will happen. And if the math is mathing correctly, I'm assuming you talked to Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, Mo Sider, and one other player that's been there since, they've been drafted, whatever. So that was an interesting quote. And I mean, that quote kind of seems like it sucked with the Red Wings. Like the team has been playing stellar hockey as of late to start the season. And I thought it was really important for this Red Wings team to start the season off really strong because you have like Ottawa, Tampa Bay, Florida, all coming off the rough starts right now. You have now an opportunity to get ahead of those teams that could potentially heat up in the middle of the season when they get healthy or when they get going, etc. And I think the Red Wings are in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I just do want to remind people that they kind of did this a couple years ago where they had pretty much a great 75% of the season, and then it all went down the shitter in a month. I'm not trying to be pessimistic here. I want to have another conversation with this team, after Thanksgiving and see where they are from here. All I care about with the Detroit Red Wings is just sustainability and consistency, right? That's what we need to see out of this team. That's what they've lacked these last few years. Because if you look at their team, they have the talent. They have a good enough roster, in my opinion, to make the playoffs. They just haven't been able to stay consistent.
I like you using the word sustainability because their depth it gets tested to an extent, but relatively, knock on wood, they tend to stay healthy, and I know
I
I'm
think this is the
probably
best step they've had in a few years. I will
it
say
is the
that.
best step. And you want to know something that I love that they're doing? They're starting to rely on some of their younger guys instead. Like I just brought up, you have Emmett Finney, a 7th-round rookie. But then also you have Simon Edvinsson, who's a second-year player. You have Marco Kasper, second-year player. Axel Sandin Palika. He is a second-year player. So you mix that, and you also have Michael Brandseg Nygaard, who has played 6 games, by the way, who you drafted a couple of years ago, who is a rookie as well. And he kind of has seemed to struggle from time to time, but he hasn't been given the opportunity. The point being is that we've seen the Red Wings from the past want to rely on these 3rd and 4th line guys that are older, that are 30, 33 years old, that are slow and that can't keep up and that kind of aren't productive. And now you see the Red Wings kind of shift to now they're relying on a little bit more of younger guys, a little bit more speed. And sure, you're going to have that inexperience with those guys, but there's going to be learning curves. But I think the roster is good enough where now you can afford to have some inexperienced players where Nolan Larkin's only getting better. Same with the Brinkat, Raymond, Kane, etc. Mo Sider, where now you can rely on an Emmett Finney who right now is 5th on the team in points scored, right? And we've already touched on the goaltending where you have those guys coming up through the system very, very soon. So I think the Red Wings are in a really good spot. And like you said, the depth is in a really good spot. And bringing up the worst sustainability, we saw them, like you brought up a couple years ago, where they were like 10, 11, 12 points up on the first wild card spot, mind you, and they missed out on the playoffs. They completely collapsed, all because Dylan Larkin got hurt for a 3-week span, and they went on like a 7-8 game losing streak. And I think that if that would happen now in this season, I think the team wouldn't struggle nearly as much because their depth is better. And I think you can rely on Finney, the Braincat, Raymond to kind of go out and help pick up the load if a guy like Larkin went out, or even if one of your top guys went out, not just Larkin too, to be able to have your other depth guys step up. And now you also have the goaltending as well too. So I think, again, like you said, depth is great. The Red Wings look good. And I think this season could be the year that the Red Wings finally break the playoff drought. And I know I'm saying that now when I picked the Red Wings to finish 7th place in the Atlantic Division. But again, we're 7 games in.
I mean,
that's true.
Sports are wild. Anything could happen any day. Like the Calgary Flames, we'll get to in a little bit. But I'm still thinking about that quote you gave me from Tom McClellan where you want to challenge some of the veteran players and said, "Are you sick of that?" I really like that. Yeah, I really, really like that because he's just he's straight up challenging the players. Like, look, you've been here the longest out of anybody. I think Dylan Larkin's the only Red Wing on there that's played his whole career with the Red Wings and have played a playoff game.
Yes. Did you know that he has the most games played out of any American-born Red Wing in Red Wings history?
I mean, he's been there for this is his 10th season, I think.
Was he drafted in 15 or 17?
Dylan Larkin was drafted in, I believe, 2014.
He was drafted in 2014, yeah.
And he made his debut in 15-16.
So, yes, he does have at least.
So this is his 10th season in the NHL. But I really like Tom McClellan challenging the players like that because you kind of have to do that when your team, you've kind of been stuck in the same spot for a few years. And I really like them. It sounds like the players have accepted his challenge, right? After that loss, they come and they win 5 games in a row, right? I know they lost to Buffalo. You're not going to win every game. It's one game. It is what it is. Don't let it linger. That's what separates the good teams from the bad teams is, okay, we had a great stretch, and then, we lose to a team we don't think we should lose to. You can't let that linger. You just got to move on and get ready to play your next game.
And they turn around and go to Long Island for a game that when this episode comes out, they'll actually be in the middle of playing it right now against the Islanders. So we'll see what they are now because even though, and then you also, including the Sabres game, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your next 6 games are on the road. So they go on a Western Coast road trip, whatever, at the end of October as well. So this team is going to be tested in terms of schedule play over the next couple weeks and stuff. And you know what? I know it's very early in the season. I think we will see what the Red Wings are made of in the next 5 to 6, 10 plus.
I agree. Like let's circle back here, like after Thanksgiving, and see where they are because I want to see if this team's for real or not.
I agree with that statement. So again, this team's iffy for me, but I am admiring that they are off to a hot start. So we decided why not? We are going back to Thursday episodes and we're going to discuss, well, I have the segment called Thursday Therapy we're introducing. We discuss one team that is struggling as of late and discuss what's going wrong, what can the team do to get back on track, etc. I just mentioned the San Jose Sharks. That is kind of expected. No offense, San Jose Sharks fans. However, though, a team that has unexpectedly been sliding the entire season, the Calgary Flames, who as of right now, they are 1-6. They are currently playing their game right now as of this recording, and it is their 8th game already, which is crazy. But nonetheless, so this team has lost 6 straight games. Dustin Wolf hasn't looked good. They average less than 2 points per game, and just overall feels like nothing is going right for this Flames team. And this is the last possible thing the Flames needed
They're
to
losing
do.
right now, by the way. They're
Were they
down
playing?
1-0 Montreal.
So there's that. So again, game's not over yet, but not a great start for the Flames either. So a lot's going wrong here, and I think it's just a combination of quite literally can't score, can't keep the puck out of the net. One of the worst teams in the league to start the season, and it's not great if you were looking to possibly get into playoffs.
That's my you said it already. My biggest issue with the team is they cannot score.
Mm-hmm.
They have their goal scoring has been horrible this season. Their leading point getter is Nazem Kadri with 4 points in 7 games with 4 assists. He's a -7, by the way.
Yeah.
Justin Wolf hasn't been good. Like just straight up not good. Low save percentage, high goals against average. But the team in front of him is not doing a whole lot to help him. They have scored the least amount of goals in the NHL. Let me just bring that up real quick. So, yes. They have scored 12 goals in 7 games. And they are playing their 8th game right now, and they haven't scored a goal yet. The next closest team is St. Louis has played a game less than them, but technically 2 games less than now at this point, and they have 16 goals.
Tied with the San Jose Sharks at 16, too.
Yeah, the Blues, the Rangers, the Lightning. That's kind of surprising. And San Jose.
But you want to... Go ahead.
Yeah, the Lightning have been a little slow to start the year too, but but the goals against, they also have allowed only 3 teams have allowed more goals than them: Minnesota, San Jose, and Ottawa. Man, Ottawa, whew.
Yeah, Ottawa.
But they also have the worst goal differential in the league. There's a whole lot going wrong here, right?
And you look at Calgary, right? And we talked about their lack of goal scoring, which is a very big concern and everything. But you kind of look at the other teams that are lacking goal scoring, they're getting good goaltending, right? You look at the St. Louis Blues here, who have 20 goals against, but they've only scored 16 goals, right? You look at
And they're 3-2-1.
Oh, the San Jose Sharks are at 29 goals. What's that?
And the Blues are 3-2-1.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a matter of nothing's going right. And if you're Calgary, you have to turn this around. Like, if you lose against Montreal, you make it 7 straight. Like, there has to be some type of change if you're Calgary. And
what can they change though? Like, I know you
got
want to change. Like,
yeah, it's tough, right? Because Huberdeau, I don't believe, has played a game yet for.
He's playing tonight.
Calgary.
He's back from injury. He came back, I think, the last game.
Okay, so there we go. He's back from injury. But you look at the rest of the team. You're obviously not trading Kadri. You're not doing Coronado, Coleman, etc. The one player that does stick out, though, like a fucking sore thumb, is Rasmus Anderson, who is in the last year of his deal. And I am intrigued that if this team is completely out of it by the trade deadline, so help me, Calgary, you better trade him. And I really don't care about
this. I think they will trade him. I don't think the contract thing is going to matter. Does he have a full trade protection? I think he just has a list, right?
Oh, I believe so.
So, yeah, I don't see a world where they retain him. I do not. But they're going to trade him. It is what it is. I'm sure they'll get more value if he commits to a contract right then and there, but probably won't happen.
Oh, well.
Take what you can get.
Yeah.
But they can't blow this team up. Just look at the contracts they have committed to guys, specifically Jonathan Huberdeau and Nazem Kadri. Kadri's a contract you could probably get out of.
Yeah.
Huberdeau ain't going anywhere.
I do believe that if they don't have Huberto, that I think this team could either retool or just completely rebuild. That's just my take on it because, like you said, they're not getting out of a $10.5 million contract. You extended Matt Coronado last offseason. You end up re-signing Connor Zary to a 3 by 3.775 this offseason. You also extended guys like Martin Pospisil, and then also Mikhail Backlund as well too. So, I mean, it feels like the Flames are trying to have a plan in place, but I mean, the on ice product has just been absolutely atrocious. And this brings me to another point where I was a year early on the Calgary Flames sucking, apparently, because if you guys don't know, last offseason, I was dead fucking on the Calgary Flames are going to suck. They're going to be worse than the Chicago Blackhawks. They clearly weren't. They had like 90 points, whatever it was.
I'm just really not a big fan of this top six though. Like I'm looking at their lines on daily face-off. Top line: Kadri, Huberto, Joel Farabee. Second line: Mikhail Backlund, Blake Coleman, and Matt Coronado. Like most good team's not going to have Blake Coleman and Mikhail Backlund on the second line. No offense to those players, but they're both 35 plus, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we doing here? Sorry, Coleman's 33, but
close enough.
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of that top six in the slightest.
It's tough. This entire roster stuff, and we don't mean to be dogging on the Flames, but like you got to call how it is. This team is just fucking complete ass. You guys know that quote of Cam Ward in a press conference saying, "I'm gonna keep it a buck, we ass." Fucking Jonathan Huberdeau should go to the podium and say that same exact quote. "I'm gonna keep it a buck, we ass." Fucking do it. No balls.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think an NHL player is ever going to say anything like that. But
no,
look, their issue really is. I think Dustin Wolf will bounce back. I'm not really that worried about him. It is what it is. They have to start scoring more. That's really the fix to this problem is score.
I mean, it does kind of help that they get Jonathan Huberdeau back, so we'll see if that changes.
Yeah, I know. He's more of a playmaker than a goal scorer or opens himself up, but like, yeah, you just got to score, man. You shoot more. And, I get the goaltending's not helping you, but you're not helping him.
Like we've said, like it's a combination, right? If you can get good goaltending from Dustin Wolf, maybe you can get some good goal scoring. And there's a correlation of just the team not playing great. And you have to figure one thing out, right? If you start to get better goaltending, then you fix one piece of the puzzle to help put this thing back together. Their season isn't over by any means, even if they lose 10 straight games, but it really, really makes it hard to get out of a hole. That you dug this early into the season, especially when you look at the teams around you that you were supposed to be competing with, by the way, for the playoffs and stuff. Like Seattle, by the way, they're 3-2-2. By the way, you also look at Nashville has gotten off to a decent start. The Kings are struggling, but they're still at 6 points. Minnesota, Edmonton, Chicago, Anaheim, St. Louis, Dallas. Like there's a bunch of teams around you. Like you're only 4 points behind these teams, and you have to start winning games before it becomes like a 10-point deficit, a 12-point deficit. Then all of a sudden you're getting to February, and even if you pull off a 6-game winning streak, you're still 6 points out of a playoff spot by the trade deadline. At that point, it might be too late. You have to trade your best player, one of your best players in Rasmus Anderson, and then your team just goes to shit, and now you're just stuck with the 8th overall pick, for example, right? So you have to really get away from this and play better hockey because I don't know. It just gets to a point where, like I brought up, and you asked me this about how you can make a change. I don't know the head coaches. I can look it up here for a second. If you go on to lose 8 straight games, you're fucking can him. Fire him. And I hate calling for people's jobs because it is their livelihood. It is their job. But something has to give first. And it's not going to be the general manager. It's not going to be a trade or a waiver. Well, it could be. You never know. But usually the first thing to go is the head coach before things change. And that's just how it goes in the sports business world in general. So
yeah, I'm not sure making a change right now, like if they're going to fire him right now. He was hired last year. His name's Ryan Huska, by the way.
Okay.
Coach.
Yeah.
So I'd say he performed well above expectations next year, but last year. So we'll see how it happens. I think they will get out of this slide. I don't think they're going to lose like 12 games in a row. And then, next week we're going to be recording after they've lost their 12th game in a row. So, but anyway, yeah, rough start. This might I hate to say this, but it might be what their season is, and not a bad year to be bad. There's some good players at the top of the draft lottery. Gavin McKenna would look really good in the Calgary Flames jersey. He's a team I wouldn't really be mad about him going to.
They desperately need a player like McKenna. I'm not gonna lie, they desperately do.
Oh yeah, like the Flames just need to get younger. They need to get some more younger players. They tried doing that when they traded, for Farabee and Morgan Frost from Philadelphia. Still a weird trade to me though.
I mean, it was a hockey trade.
Yeah, still kind of came out of left field in my opinion.
Yeah,
It was still just like, oh, alrighty then. That was certainly a trade.
It was a hockey trade that happened in the middle of the day.
Was that even like a deadline trade?
No, it was just in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
So I'm going to ask you this here before we pass it off to the guests that we're having on. Is there anything that the Flames can fix, or is this more of a thing you just have to play out of this slump and kind of hope you figure things out before it becomes too late?
Well, do you mean like make a move?
Well, whether it's a move or whether it's just, we're going to play through the slump and then hopefully we can get back to things and kind of find the solution inside of the room in a sense.
Well, I don't think there's any like magic fix, right? They're not going to make a big trade at this point in the season. They're not going to send some veteran down on waivers to shock the team. I think you just kind of got to ride it out. You got to challenge if they're players like Tom McCullen did in Detroit and see if they're up to the task. And then, if you keep challenging them and they keep backing down, that's when you really, the front office can go like, okay, like we might need to move some of these guys out of here. Like I said, Jonathan Huberdeau ain't going anywhere. That contract is untradeable, in my opinion. They can move Kadri if he's willing to move his waive his no movement clause. I think they'd have to eat a little bit of salary on that, but that is $7 million cap hit. If they eat like $2 million, I think that's a very manageable contract to move.
Yeah. But
then another thing is, Dustin Wolf needs to play better. I know they're not scoring a lot to help him, but that save, those stats, like that save percentage is not acceptable, especially with the contract they just gave you. It's early in the season, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but he needs to play better.
I mean, a 4 goals against average, like, it's just brutal. Like, you have to be better.
Negative 7.9 goals saved above expected. So it's not like these are goals that like his defense is like letting him down. These are things he should be stopping.
Yeah, and get better goaltending and more scoring, and this team is back to where they were last season. It's just as simple as that. It's nothing complicated that this team has to do. All right, guys, thank you for being in this episode, and we're going to hand it off to Matthew Zator, who's joining the podcast to talk a little bit about Vancouver Canucks hockey, et cetera, stuff like that. So stick around for that as well. Thank you guys for being here, watching, listening as well, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Enjoy the rest of the episode. This episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Hockey's back in the season. DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NHL. I use DraftKings to bet on any NHL game and player props, and you should too. From anytime goal scorer to picking an underdog, trying to win big, DraftKings has it all. And here's the best part. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get paid out $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet hits. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That is 467-3669. In Connecticut, help is available for gambling problems. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. Must be the age of 21 years or older. Age and eligibility vary by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after assurance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos for details. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only. Auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
All right, quick timeout before we get back to the action. This This episode is brought to you by W Energy. Listen, hockey's fast, and whether you're breaking down plays, yelling shoot from the couch, or just getting in a workout, you've got to stay sharp. That's where W comes in. Clean energy with zero sugar, no crash, no artificial flavors or dyes. Just 150 milligrams of caffeine per serving, about 2 cups of coffee's worth to keep you locked in and ready to go. Personally, I use W before the gym, on the ice, and even when prepping content for the pod. If you need that extra spark, whether you're grinding through work, lifting, or lacing up the skates, W's got you covered. Head over to W.GG and use code CFBPOD for 10% off your order. That's W.GG, code CFBPOD for 10% off your order. Fuel up, stay locked in, and let's get back to the episode. Today, we have a guest on the episode. We have Matthew Zator. That's how you pronounce your last name, right? Is Zator, not Zator? All right.
Sweet. It goes both. It goes both ways. So yeah, that's the more accurate one. Yeah.
Sweet. I got that right. He is a writer for the Hockey Writers covering the Canucks. Plus, he does some other stuff over there. Thank you again for joining us, and just kind of give the audience a little bit of a background of like how you got into the sports media space and growing up as a Canucks fan, etc., stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Canucks fan as far back as I can remember. First memory is when '94, when they went to the Stanley Cup final, second time, I guess. That was my earliest memory, and since then, Canucks fan. Started writing for the Canucks officially, I guess, Canuck Way over at Fansided about 6-7 years ago now, and then been with the Hockey Writers about 5 years. So. It's been a wild ride writing for the Canucks. I mean, covering I unfortunately didn't cover the 2011 run, but as a writer, but I remember being a fan during it. But writing for the last bunch of years for the Canucks, it's unfortunately not many playoff runs, but it's been an interesting journey in writing. So. And then video and all that stuff. So it's been fun. The last 5 years, been covering the Canucks.
Yeah, so I actually go into that 2011 playoff run and everything. Do you remember like how not only you felt, but the city of Vancouver and everything like that, of how the anguish? Because if I recall correctly, I don't mean to do like any salt in the wound type stuff and everything, but the Canucks were up 2-0 in that series, or am I wrong?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
That's brutal.
Weren't they up 3-1 at one point?
They were up 2-0, then 3-2.
3-2. Okay.
Yeah. Because they won the first 2 in Vancouver, lost 2 in Boston, came back to Vancouver again, won there, then lost in Boston again, and then lost back in Vancouver. Yeah. I unfortunately remember that very well.
I remember the aftermath very well. That was crazy down there. Like, that whole scene in the city after a Game 7 loss, it was wild.
The entire city burning down. That's crazy. Let's hop into a little bit of how the Canucks have played through their first 7 games this season. They ended up losing a rough game against Pittsburgh 5-1 last night as of this recording. However, though, they still started off the season 4-3. And from my expectations personally, I don't know about you guys, I feel like this start for them as a whole is not a terrible start. I mean, you look at the Pacific Division as a whole, teams like LA are skidding. The Oilers aren't off to a great start, and all of a sudden they find themselves with 8 points in 7 games, second place in the Pacific Division. It almost feels like they can kind of start to get away with a little bit of this play for now, at least, to kind of keep their heads above water and to stay afloat in the Pacific Division, because we all know Vegas Golden Knights are probably going to end up running away with this division halfway through the season. But looking at some guys that have played very well, Connor Garland, Quinn Hughes, Kiefer Sherwood, by the way, is third on the team in points with 4 of them. Now, granted, it feels like there isn't those like 1 or 2 or 3 players outside of Garland and Hughes that are putting up big numbers for the Canucks offensively wise, but you're getting a lot of production from guys with 17 players on the Canucks with at least 1 point. And I'll get into this guy a little bit later, but Elias Pettersson, he only has 4 points in the 7 games, which isn't great for what the Canucks are paying him. But overall, the play of this team, I feel like it's better than what maybe some people might expected of coming into the season so far.
Yeah, I mean, they've also, I mean, this is very recent, but dealing with the injuries again this season, which they dealt with a lot last season, and still ended up with 92 points. So, I mean, like, it's kind of an interesting thing. But I mean, early in the season, yeah, you mentioned the depth and how many guys have gotten points. It is an interesting. Kiefer Sherwood having the 4 goals, he leads the Canucks in goals so far. I mean, is that great when you're looking at it? Sherwood's more of a depth guy. He's more the 3rd, 4th line, but he had 19 goals last season. And he's been one of their better players for the last season and now into this season. It seems like he's more that passionate, the culture guy where you really want everyone to play like him because he comes and works hard every night. And Connor Garland, same thing. He's been on fire. He leads the Canucks in points right now too. So I mean, lots of assists. Not only it's 1 goal, but it's been an encouraging start. I mean, yeah, you mentioned the Penguins game, but they were shorthanded. Brock Besser out, Philip Hedl out, Höglander was out since the beginning of the season. They're missing a lot of guys, and then of course, I mean, this can be a whole big discussion about how Adam Foote is deploying everyone right now, but the top line's not playing too much with Pettersson, Garland, and DeBrusk. They're one of the lowest 5-on-5 numbers, ice time wise, on the team, which makes no sense. When your top players, especially with so many guys injured, they should be the ones playing a lot of the minutes. But overall, I mean, I've been okay with how they've played this road trip. They came back twice from 2-0 deficits. One against the Dallas Stars, who's one of the best teams in the West. And then, of course, the Washington Capitals, who won the Eastern Conference last season, and we're off to a great start, 4-game winning streak, and they broke that. So, I mean, overall, they've played some tough teams and come out on top. It's just, to play against the Penguins, you're like, well, they should beat the Penguins. But when you got so many guys out, it's kind of understandable. And this road trip's been brutal with back-to-backs and how many games. And they had 3 games in 4 nights there. It is been a tough go. So it was maybe expected they would not have a good game against the Penguins. But overall, the season's been pretty good early on.
Yeah, one really encouraging spot for me so far in the Canucks season has been the play of Thatcher Demko.
Yeah.
There were some question marks going in the offseason when they signed with that contract extension. There was rumors that, he might have been on the trade block. Canucks weren't looking to really extend him long term. Then they signed him to that 3-year contract extension. And it was kind of a gamble. He's had injury issues the last few years. He only played in the 23 games last year, which I think this is why that contract was kind of shocking to a lot of people with how little he played, and the games he played, he didn't play great. But this year he's off to a really good start with 922 save percentage, 238 goals against average. I don't think he'll keep those numbers up the whole year, but if he can stay on the ice and play like 50, 60 games, that's a great contract right there, and keep playing at that level he was a few years ago.
Yeah. He's been great. I mean, I have no issues. Lankinen, I mean, he's played a couple games. He didn't play too well against the Penguins, but he had that good big shootout win against the Blackhawks. It seems like they're going to kind of split the starts between the two. But Demko, I mean, every game he's played in, he's been the Demko from when he was the finalist, so for the Vezina, or the runner-up, I guess, at the end. So. He is a guy that if he's on, he's one of the best goaltenders in the NHL and can keep the Canucks in games when they probably shouldn't be in it. And that's just the goaltender he is. And that's why they gave him that extension because they're hoping that that's what he's going to be for the next 4 seasons. So I'm encouraged so far. He just has to stay healthy, and so far so good. Fingers crossed. So.
I mean, you look at the thing with Demko, right? And we always talk about, especially the last couple seasons, where he just can't stay on the ice, right? His injuries are piling up, right? And bringing up that Kevin Lankinen and Demko are kind of going to split the crease, at least for the time being, because you want to be careful with Demko, at least right now. We all know that nagging injury that was kind of he was dealing with it felt like forever at one point, going back all the way to the 22-23 playoffs or whatever it was, 23-24, whatever year that was. And now let's say you get halfway through the season and both of them are, let's say they're at like a 25-15 split or something like that in favor of Demko, and Demko's still putting up these numbers. If he's feeling great, you can start to kind of ride him a little bit, especially if he's keeping you in games. And the big difference with the Canucks between the last couple of seasons and this season, if they want to get into the playoffs, which I think they'll probably have to be top 3 in the Pacific to do so, is they need Demko to stay healthy for all 82 games. They don't need him to go out and play 60 games like Connor Hellebuyck, Shesterkin, Ottinger, or any of these other elite goaltenders. He can still be elite playing 47, 48, 50 games and be healthy enough to play in the playoffs when they would probably have to go play a team like Vegas or Colorado or any of these juggernaut teams where the Canucks are going to need him, right? There's no point in him getting such a heavy workload early in the season, and then all of a sudden with 25 games to go, he goes out with the season-ending injury, and even if the Canucks are in a comfortable playoff spot, it's like, well, we don't have our elite goaltenders, so we're first-round exits anyways, right? So I think the approach that Foot and this Canucks team is taking with Demko is smart right now. And something I don't want to touch on too is Quentin Hughes, and over the summer, we all heard the buzz about him and his future in Vancouver. Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes have been repeatedly asked about, how would you feel about playing with Quentin Hughes, whatever. Obviously, the media trying to get a quote and something out of those two. It clearly didn't work. But just kind of give us your thoughts on like what the future is with Quentin Hughes. Is there a little bit of buzz or worry about him leaving, or is it more of a situation of, you know what, let's see how the season plays out and then make a decision then?
Yeah, I mean, it's been nonstop since Rutherford came out and said, basically said, oh, we've heard he wants to play with his brothers. He's got to just shut his mouth. But I mean, it's yeah, and he even said like, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I mean, yeah, it's.
Oh, we've said it before too. Rutherford usually does not say good things to the media. Yeah.
He's very honest. I mean, sometimes that's refreshing, but it can create problems for stuff. And I mean, yes, it's the reality. I mean, there is a possibility he would want to play with his brothers in New Jersey, but he didn't have to say it. It is going to be interesting to see what the next couple seasons, because he's got the 2 years left. A lot of people are saying, well, if there's an indication he's not going to want to re-sign, well, then you look at trading him next season or even this off season. That's a possibility, but I feel like he will re-sign in Vancouver. It's just the fact is he wants to win. And if the Canucks aren't in a position to do that, I think he does leave. There's been talk, but he doesn't look the same this season so far. He doesn't look like the dominant player that he was the last few seasons. I kind of disagree, but I'm kind of in between there. He hasn't been at his best. He's still been noticeable. He hasn't really taken over games like he usually does. Again, very early. But I think he's going to stay. It's just, it'll be a narrative for the next 2 years, because until he signs it, it may be less. If he does sign next July 1st, it's over. This is all done. But for the next, especially if the Canucks don't make the playoffs, there's going to be so much talk that that future is going to be murky. So, I'm optimistic, but I do get where it's coming from, that he might not stay because he wants to go to a team that'll give him a chance to win a cup. And I get that too. So, the Canucks aren't there at this point. I think he's probably the guy that carries the team, unless Pettersson starts, becoming that guy where he hit 100 points. Because if he has to think that he has to be the guy every night, that kind of can maybe weigh on him. So I think he might leave, but I'm still optimistic that he'll be in Vancouver, because he's such a dynamic guy to watch, and probably the best. He is the best, not probably. He is the best player the Canucks have ever had. So
I will say, like, if Quinn Hughes ends up either getting traded or walking, because I feel like I agree with, if he does not like really commit to a contract, you have to kind of trade him, right? Because you don't want a repeat of like what happened with John Tavares in New York, where he wasn't really committal on a contract, and they kept pushing and he ends up walking and getting nothing out of it.
Yeah.
But that would kind of signal to me that they kind of need to do like a bit of a rebuild, refresh. It kind of signaled that last year when they traded JT Miller away. That situation was just kind of a mess. They kind of had to move Pettersson or Miller there. And there was rumors that they were still going to move Pettersson anyway. But, yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you that I think Quinn Hughes will end up staying. I think they're going to give him a contract offer. I think he literally can't say no to. I think that's how this is going to end.
Yeah, for sure.
With I'm on the edge of Quinn Hughes staying and leaving because obviously, like you brought up, Preston, they traded JT Miller last year to the Rangers. But if you look at every other guy that is locked up, like you have Pettersson locked up at 11.6. They just ended up getting Brock Besser re-signed at 7.25, which he ended up hitting the open market. He thought that he wasn't going to come back in Vancouver. And apparently what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong here, is that Brock Besser actually called Quinn Hughes saying how upset he was that he wasn't going to be able to be brought back to Vancouver. They got a deal done hours later, and the rest is history with that. Yeah. And then you signed Philip Hronek to a $7.25 million deal, which last time I checked, that is Quinn Hughes' D partner. So it's not like he's in this alone, right? It's not like he's on the San Jose Sharks and it's just like it's him and nobody else, right? Like you have your core players locked up. So I mean, in Connor Garland too, who I forgot he signed the extension.
I love that contract for Connor Garland.
Great contract. Yeah. So I mean, if you can get Quinn Hughes locked up long term, or even if he doesn't want to be here long term, give him a 3-year deal and be like, listen, if this isn't working out by the time your contract's over, we'll be happy to trade you or whatever it may be. But we'll focus on that down the line too. Obviously, the situation would be you want to get him to a 8-year deal before the new CBA kicks in September. So, but at the end of the day, though, like you can't force Quinn Hughes to sign an extension or re-sign at that. The last thing you want is going to next season without an extension. And now the Canucks front office is really going to be deciding, okay, if Quinn Hughes is unsure that he's going to resign, we have to make a decision by the trade deadline. We're going to have to need an answer from Quinn Hughes because like you brought up, Preston, you're not going to have to let him walk. Like you just can't do that. You can't let a talent like Quinn Hughes walk, or you have to get back something for him. So, I mean, I'm interested to see where this all develops. And at the end of the day, I think the odds of Quinn Hughes coming back are significantly higher if the Canucks can get into the playoffs some way and somehow.
Yeah, I think this talk of like trading him to New Jersey is kind of crazy anyway. I can't see a way New Jersey can afford him. Like I just don't see it. They just paid Luke Hughes. They have a bunch of their core players on big contracts. I just don't. And the only way I see it happening is they trade for him as like a rental next season, and then he walks in free agency.
Yeah, I don't understand. I know, yes, it's great to put them together, but this is a cap world.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you may want to play with your brothers, but the New Jersey might not be able to do it. So
yeah, they have to gut a lot of their depth to be able to pay him.
Yeah. And what type of team do you got then?
Moving on to another player that I briefly mentioned, Elias Pettersson. He hasn't looked the same, and it feels like 2 seasons at this point, ever since he put up that 100-plus point season. He signed the contract extension a couple seasons ago, etc. So he put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, reportedly, over the offseason, and he only has the 4 points in 7 games. But I kind of want your POV of somebody who kind of watches the Canucks night in and night out, because over here on the East Coast, it is so hard to stay up for those 10 o'clock games, even though they are on a road trip right now. I caught most of the Penguins game against the Canucks last night, but it's only 1 game. How has Pettersson looked outside of offensively? Is he producing in other areas? Is he doing all the little things right? Or is it more of a situation of you just want to see him just produce offensively and call it at that?
Well, I mean, he's looked really good as a two-way player this season so far. The Penguins, I'm going to take that game away because the whole team didn't really. I'd say probably Connor Garland was the best player for them in that game. But you're looking at, in the previous game, Pettersson looked great against the Capitals. He blocked 2 Alex Ovechkin shots in the last minute. And then his work ethic has been so much higher. I criticized him at the beginning of the season where he didn't kind of look checked out. He wasn't working as hard as I'd like him to. And I mean, when he works hard, and that was something that he, when his draft year, that was one of his strengths, was his work ethic. So I'm really not sure why that's all of a sudden become a narrative that he doesn't work hard. But yeah, he's been great in the last, I'd say, since this road trip has started. He's been one of their better players against the Blackhawks. He could have had a hat trick, but the luck. I mean, he's just hitting off his stick in the crease. It just goes wide. Deflection goes wide. He misses the net on a shot that's like, well, if that's hit in the net, it's in. I think he's getting a lot more chances last few games. I'd say he's the confidence level. He's trying some moves that he hadn't before. Biggest thing, he's just looked more noticeable. And there were so many games last season where you're like, did Pettersson even play? I mean, that, like, you don't want that out of one of your best players that you can say, well, was he even in the lineup? I mean, that's not a good look. I mean, this season there's been a lot more of that where you're just like, yeah, Pettersson was there. He had chances. He was, you could have had a couple goals in that game. There wasn't a lot of that last season. Yeah, the points aren't there yet. I mean, 4 points is decent. It's not the best, but I am optimistic still that he can turn it around this season. There's a lot still left to go, and if Foote can give him more minutes and give him 20 plus minutes a game, which is what he should be getting, I think those chances will start going in, and we'll start seeing the Pettersson from before. But I've liked his game a lot better than at times last season.
You know, the important part for Pettersson and the Canucks, I understand, like, a lot of Canucks fans or even people outside of the Canucks fan base harp on him because you're making $11.5 million to go out and put up 100 points a season, right? But in the situation that he's in, when it doesn't necessarily seem like the puck is bouncing his way a lot of the time, like you said, he's getting unlucky so far to start the season offensively. You know, if instead of being bummed out about, man, like, I'm not at 11 points in 7 games already in the season and carrying this team on my back, go out and, like you said, block back-to-back shots from Alexander Ovechkin to help seal a 1-goal win, right? Mm-hmm. Go out and win the puck battles. You're a centerman. Go out and be a close puck support for a breakout to make it easier for your team on the ice. It's all the little things too, and I think that's what I really like about Pettersson and how he's transitioned his game is he just does a bunch of little things right. He's a great skater. His confidence level is high, and it's just a matter of time when everything comes together and he goes on a 8-game stretch where he puts up 15, 16 points. And it's like, is Pettersson back? He's healthy. Yeah. He's done all this stuff. And I kind of use the excuse of Pettersson when he got off to the slow start last season, being like, you know what? His knee's still bothering him from the previous playoffs and everything. And, you know, maybe it's a slow start and it just never happened at all. And I think he really needed this offseason to mentally prepare for the season and kind of take a break from hockey and also work hard too. Like you mentioned, he coming into his draft year, he was touted as a hard worker and he's going to work for everything. And I really think that there should be no worry about Pettersson whatsoever. And offensively, I understand there's a ton of pressure on him and Quinn Hughes and Besser to really be the guys on the team, which they should be, deservedly so. They should be producers night in and night out. But also there's more to winning hockey games than just, you know, goals, assists, and points, because you could put up 5 points a night but lose 7-5 every single night. That's not going to help your hockey team win. That's not going to help them go make saves. It's not going to help your defense, etc. So I think Pettersson is on the right track, and I overall like what I've seen and heard about Pettersson so far this season. Matthew, I appreciate you, and Preston appreciates you as well, for joining us on this episode to talk some Canucks puck. Let the audience and everybody else know where they can find your work. And then, of course, we'll link it in the description so they can all go check it out for you.
Yeah, you can try all my works at thehockeywriters.com. And we also have lots of YouTube content. You'll see my face many times on the YouTube channel. I'm all over the place. So, yeah, check those out. And, of course, you can follow me at Matthew Zator SC on I guess, X. Now, and I share a lot of my work there, so take a look at that. But yeah, it's been great being on here.
Thank you again for being on. And if you guys have listened and watched the entire episode, make sure to head down to the description below, subscribe, notification bell, check us out on all of our social media. New episodes every Sunday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.